Hey guys, I'm going to make a couple of videos here about some of these diesel heaters, but mainly focusing on why they call diesel heaters dry heat. The one main thing that people get mixed up with these is a regular furnace and a diesel heater are pretty similar. That basically they're a heat exchanger. So they're just going to run air across a heating plate and then they're going to send it back into the camper. So what type of fuel they use, how they exhaust is really not important for what we're doing here, because on both type of heating systems the fuel is evacuated out and it's really not an issue. People talk about propane. Propane makes condensation. It just doesn't matter. It's not part of the issue on these because you're not having any of the fuel. So most of these campers, okay, I've got a four-wheel camper FWC, which is a pretty common truck camper, and I ordered a shell model. They call it a bare bones one, so it doesn't come with a heater, stove, or anything else, because I wanted to custom build everything to fit what I needed, because I do quite a bit of winter camping. So, and another main reason is I wanted a diesel heater. So I didn't know much about them. I heard about them, and I heard good things about them, but until I dove into it, I didn't really know much about it, but I know quite a bit of it now, and they're pretty interesting. They have their problems, but once you get them running, it's a pretty awesome heat. So anyhow, the main difference being is, when you've got a standard propane heater, most of them work with just recirculating the air inside because it's efficient. It recirculates the air and heats the air and runs across the heating plate and recirculates it. Problem with that is all the condensation, which comes mostly from the occupants. If you've got kids and people inside, you're putting out quite a bit of water vapor, and so as it's heating up and running, it's basically just adding more condensation. So you can crack windows and doors and it'll help a little bit, but in general it won't take much out. So over a couple of days it'll build up, and that's when you wake up and everything's all wet and dripping, and you're having to get out towels. So now that's the big difference with mine. With my diesel heater, they can be set up to recirculate, and if you do set it up that way, and it'll have basically the same condensation issues. But my diesel heater can be set up for fresh air in. So basically my heater's outside, it pulls fresh air, it runs it across the heat plate, and then it pumps it into the camper. So since occupants make most of the condensation you've got, usually the outside air is going to be drier than inside. So basically my heater will pump hot fresh air into the camper, and so if I keep all the doors and windows and the vents closed, I can basically pressurize this camper. So but the basic method I use is I basically put a small opening in my roof vent, usually up in the corner, but I can adjust it. I can change the way I want the heat to run and all that. So I'll open that vent, and basically the heater will pump in fresh air. So you're basically going to be doing a room change of air, every certain amount of minutes, depending on the fan speed and how big your vent is. But basically you're pulling all the air out of the camper constantly, and it's evacuating out through the exhaust through pressure, and all that condensation goes with it. So what's kind of interesting is, I can go out hiking all day long, get wet clothes and parkas. I can come hang those things up here at night. When I wake up in the morning, it'll usually be dry. So the heater basically pumps in and then pushes it out the vent that I've opened, and it just changes the air. Of course, it's going to be a little less efficient, but that's the choice I made, to be able to have a dry camper, and that's worth any sacrifice of a little bit of heat. And I've got a 2 kilowatt, and basically they come in two sizes. There's a 2 kilowatt and there's a 5 kilowatt. So I've got the smaller one. I've got this four-wheel camper, and I've camped quite a bit down to 10 degrees Fahrenheit, kind of the cold temps I'll get in Colorado and Utah, and it has no problem. It keeps up with the heat, super cozy. And that's the other thing about this heat. It's hard to describe a little bit, but it's really a different kind of heat. It's really cozy, it's warm, it's dry, but not only that, you don't get clammy spots, because it's basically just pulling the air out and you're getting fresh air, and so you're basically getting a lot of fresh air inside. So it's pretty kind of awesome. It's a really comfy heat. So with a basic furnace that's recirculating, if you're out for days, it's just going to build up. It's going to build up, and you're going to have condensation, it's hard to get out, you know, when it gets cold and frozen, and usually when you get home, you even have trouble getting it out. This thing, I mean, it's so efficient. When I go out, usually I'll go out hiking for the day for hours, and I usually run this thing 24/7, you know, nonstop. So I go out hiking, come back, and you go inside, and it's just cozy and warm, and it's dry. It's really, really awesome way to go, and it's real efficient. You know, it doesn't use much fuel, and it's real safe, and it's a real simple machine, so it's pretty cool. So anyhow, that was kind of the main thing I want to talk about. You know, I'm gonna shoot another video here, and I'm gonna show you the layout of my diesel heater, because you can set it up to recirculate, and I can with mine, but mine's been so efficient so far, and I've had no problems. And having a dry camper is worth it. So, oh, hit the like button and subscribe. That's what I'm told. I'm kind of new to this, so. But anyhow, I'm going to shoot another video here. I'm going to show you my setup, because they can be set up all different kinds of ways, and it can be confusing. But mine's in a box outside, and I'm going to show you how that's set up and how my ductwork is, and it'll probably explain a little better of how these things work, you know, if the concept I'm kind of showing you it is. But that's kind of the basic reason I went to diesel heater, because, you know, so many people complain about just dreadful wet inside. But beyond that, it's a different kind of heat, and it's an awesome heat. So anyhow, hit the like button, and yeah, thanks for watching. Watch for this next video, but stay warm out there, and I appreciate you checking in. Thanks a lot.